Welcome to this explainer. Today we are going to break down the mathematical magic of compound interest. Now, I know what you're thinking. Words like annualized returns or principal usually make people's eyes glaze over. But don't worry, we're going to skip the confusing jargon today. Instead, we're translating abstract formulas into real-world wealth. Because fundamentally, this whole thing is just about time, patience, and consistency. We're going to demystify the math and show you exactly how wealth building actually works behind the scenes.
So what if your money could literally start making money for you? To get this, I want you to picture a snowball rolling down a snowy hill. You start with just a tiny handful of snow, right? But as it rolls, it grabs a little more. And as it gets bigger, its surface area expands, so it picks up even more snow even faster. Suddenly, it's growing completely on its own. You don't even have to push it anymore. It just gains this massive momentum. Well, that is exactly what happens when your money goes to work for you. You put in a little effort to pack that first snowball, and the momentum just takes over.
Which brings us to two paths, one choice. To see how this plays out in real life, we are going to follow two friends who are at the exact same starting line. They have the same salary, similar apartments, and the exact same amount of leftover cash at the end of every month. The playing field is completely level, but the tiny decisions they make right now are going to send them to completely different financial universes.
Meet Ali and Sarah. Now, Ali adopts a proactive mindset. He says, I'm going to save and invest a small amount every single month. He completely gets the value of delayed gratification. Sarah, though, she decides to wait. Her thought process is, I'll enjoy it now, buy some nice clothes, go out, and I'll just start saving later. And hey, we have all been there, right? The urge to spend today is super strong. But the hidden mathematical cost of Sarah putting this off is going to be absolutely massive.
So let's talk about money making money. We're going to follow Ali's path first and see exactly what happens when he actually invests that cash.
Ali takes 10,000 rupees and puts it into an investment account. Let's assume a nice, clean annual return of 10%. After year one, the math is pretty straightforward. He earns a flat 1,000 rupees in profit, bringing his total up to 11,000. It's a nice little bonus for doing absolutely nothing, but let's be real, it's not exactly quitting your job money yet. The true exponential power hasn't really kicked into gear.
But year two? That is where things get really interesting. In the second year, Ali earns his 10% on that original 10,000, so another 1,000 rupees. But, and here is the ultimate secret to wealth, he also earns 10% on the 1,000 rupees of profit he made back in year one. This bumps his year two total to 12,100 rupees. Do you see what just happened there? The profit is now generating its own profit. He's earning money on his money's money. It's just an extra 100 rupees right now, but that tiny structural shift changes absolutely everything. Which leads us to the magic formula. If we really want to grasp how this profit-on-profit stacking works over decades, we got to look under the hood at the actual mechanics. Okay, here is the basic compounding formula. I know it looks like high school algebra, but stay with me, it's actually beautifully simple. A is your final amount. P is your starting money. R is your annual return. But the absolute most crucial piece of this entire puzzle, it's that little n at the top right, the number of years. Because n is an exponent. Your money doesn't just grow in a straight, boring line. It curves and rockets upwards. That tiny n is the engine of the entire system, representing the one single resource you can never get back: time.
So let's really look at the power of time. Let's assume Ali makes that one-time investment and just leaves it completely untouched for 2 whole decades. He forgets his password, never checks the balance, and just lets that little exponent n do its thing.
67,000 rupees. At a 10% growth rate, that single initial 10,000 deposit grows to around 67,000 rupees after 20 years. Just let the gravity of that sink in for a second. Ali didn't add a single extra rupee. He literally went to sleep, lived his life, and didn't lift a finger to earn that extra 57,000 rupees. Time and compounding basically multiplied his money by more than 6 times. Your capital literally becomes a dedicated employee that works for you 24/7. But what about Sarah? She finally realizes she needs to start investing 10 years later than Ali, with the exact same starting amount. But because she waited, she suffers a massive, irreversible penalty. Why? Because she gave that crucial exponent n significantly less time to work. Her snowball barely had any hill to roll down. Future Sarah ends up looking at a significantly smaller balance, wishing she hadn't delayed. The true cost of her waiting wasn't just the money she spent in her 20s, it was all that massive exponential growth she totally forfeited.
And that is why we play the long game. Ollie's one-time investment was awesome, for sure. But let's see how we can completely supercharge this engine for the best results.
Compounding goes into absolute overdrive when you invest regularly. Imagine Ali decides to add 5,000 rupees every single month. Every time he makes a deposit, that specific 5,000 gets its own unique timeline to grow and earn profit on profit. Month 1's deposit will always end up way bigger than month 36's deposit simply because it's been rolling down the hill longer. It's literally like planting a new tree every month. 20 years later, you don't just have one big tree, you've got an entire thriving forest.
Now, time for a quick reality check. Investments can go up and down, and returns are never perfectly guaranteed. We're looking at smooth math today just to understand the core concept, but real-world markets fluctuate. The market drops, you have bad years, and watching your balance dip can definitely be stressful. But if you zoom out past the daily panic and the noise, compounding remains the single most important idea in long-term investing. The market historically rewards the people who stay in the game.
To weather those storms, you just need to follow 3 core rules. Start early, invest regularly, and stay patient. If you treat this like planting a seed, the initial growth is going to feel incredibly slow. You might barely see a tiny green sprout for the first few years, and it's so tempting to just dig it up or abandon it. But if you stick to those 3 rules, time and consistency will eventually grow that tiny seed into a massive tree that can survive any economic storm.
The absolute biggest takeaway from all of this? Time is your biggest advantage. It is the ultimate democratizer of wealth. You don't need to be rich to start. You don't need a huge salary. You just need to start with whatever you can manage today. Because as we saw with Ali and Sarah, even the smallest amounts become incredibly powerful when given a long enough runway. Your most valuable asset isn't your current bank account. It's the number of years you have ahead of you.
So, I want to leave you with a final question to consider for your own future. Will you plant your financial seed today, or are you going to pay the heavy cost of waiting like Sarah? I hope this explainer gave you the clear tools you need to finally start making your money work for you. Catch you on the next one.